Banjo Land, Mike Heading here, coming to you today with a short little banjo lick lesson. We're going to do an easy little G to C transition that adds just a little bit of chromatic flavor, that just adds a little bit of spice that's kind of fun. So I would use this lick in a backup situation leading to a C chord, or it also works great at the end of a solo in the key of G. And then if you're maybe leading into the chorus that goes to a C chord, you can use this little lick at the end of your solo. A song like How Mountain Girls Can Love, Think of What You've Done, any of those songs that go to the 4 chord, in this case C, on the chorus, this is a great little lick. All right, let's start breaking it down. Here we go. Okay, so just real quick so we understand where this lick is coming from and kind of how it works. Basically, we have 2 measures of G. We're in 4/4. And then 2 measures of C. So we're going to walk from G up to C. In this case, our 3rd string open, and then the 1st fret on the 2nd string. So we're walking up. Normally, you would probably use notes of the major scale, in this case, the G major scale, something like this in a very simple form. I might do a pinch for the 1st measure. And then I might play open on the 3rd string twice, and then 2nd fret, and then open 2nd string, open 2nd string, and then the 1st fret on the 2nd string. We're walking up the 1, 1, 2, 3, 4. Those are the notes of the major scale, the degrees of the scale. So root note, we play that twice, and then 2nd note of the scale, 3rd note, 4. That's how we're walking up. And then you can pinch or something on C, right? That's just a very basic walk. Yeah, most times the walk is going to use the notes of the major scale or something like that, right? So that's the walk in its most simplest form. Just using simple notes of the major scale, and then you can pinch on the C. So you might be familiar with that. Another easy way to do it, if you wanted to play it more bluegrass that still uses those notes of the major scale, might sound like this. I would do like a slide, and then a thumb pinch, and then a 2/4 slide, hit the 5th string, and then I'm either going to pinch my C, or you can just hit your index finger. You just want to slide into that key there that you use your index finger of your right hand, because the last note previously is your thumb, right? So you have. So that's basically the bluegrass equivalent of. Now we're implying that with a roll. Something like that, right? So that's kind of like a bluegrass way to do it. Let's look at adding chromatic notes. So chromatic means we're just going half steps and we're not necessarily playing the major scale. The chromatic scale just uses all the notes. So in this case, it would be open 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the C. So you can't count the degrees of the scale as easily with the chromatic notes. We're going G, G sharp, A, B flat, B, C. So we're playing every possible half step in between G and C now. So that's kind of what chromatic means, and you can hear it sounds more outside of the. It doesn't sound as happy as the major scale, right? So you can hear it's going to catch your ear because it's more outside of the scale. So what we're going to do is kind of imply that with a bluegrass style roll. We're going to use the alternating thumb roll, 3, 2, 5, 1, 3, 2, 5, 1. Those are my strings. Thumb, index, thumb, middle. So we start with open, and then I put my 1st finger on the 1st fret of the 3rd string and do that same roll. And then 2nd fret, and then slide from 2 to 3 this time, or you can do 2 to 4, either way. I think 2 to 3 just sounds a little bluesier. and then go into your C. So it sounds a little goofy when you do it really slow. You really hear the outside of the scale notes, but watch if you speed it up a little bit. It sounds really cool, I think. You can do any roll you want on the C. You just want to make sure that you don't start the roll with your thumb, because the last note of the slide right there is your fifth string. So you either have to use your index finger or middle finger to start that roll on the C, but then you can do forward roll. You can do, a backward roll or something. You can really do whatever you want once you get it down. So let's practice that a few times. The other thing you can do is just practice one measure of C. And then maybe do like the Scruggs fill lick to come back. Like that. So that's a 2-measure lick. We're using the full 2 measures to do that walk up. The other spot, like I said in the intro, I might use it is, let's say I was playing a song in G, and it goes now to that D, and then back to G, and then maybe like a G7 leads to the chorus that goes to a C, like I said, maybe like a How Mountain Girls Can Love. So I might end my solo coming from that D, something like... Hear how that leads in? So I could do my D lick. And then maybe on a normal song, if I wasn't going to a C, I might just land on open G. And then, play some fills that way. But let's say I need to lead into the chorus. Now I go. Start the lick right here. Get down, boys, go back home. You kind of hear how that would lead into that. Or, like I said, think of what you've done is, any song that leads to that 4 chord on the chorus. Catfish John, I'm just trying to brainstorm some songs off the top of my head. Obviously, you want to use it accordingly, right? So I wouldn't maybe use it every time, but that's where you could compare it to the more major one that we learned earlier. Something like that, right? So you have a more standard one, and then you have one that really just stands out a little bit more, which is really cool. Like I said, I might use it at the end of a solo. It's just a nice little, final statement to kind of lead into that chorus. Maybe it's the last chorus of the song, so I do that just to kind of give it that level of excitement. So just a little faster so you can hear it one more time. So I'll come from a D chord into a G and then walk up. You kind of hear how you can use that, right, to lead into any C chord you want. So that's what we're doing there. So let's say you only have one measure to do it. You can also do it something similar that kind of quotes it with one measure. You're going to go like this. We just have to play it faster. So we're going to go open, open, and then 1 open, and then 2-4 slide. We're trying to get as many of those notes in there as we can with only one measure now. Something like that. Or you could do thumb, index, thumb, middle if you wanted to keep that alternating thumb roll going. That would also work. I kind of like the first one though. But try it either way. In. And then, like I said, you can go back to the Scruggs roll, or really wherever you can go wherever after that. You can go to a D. So kind of experiment with the timing of it. You could really play with that idea too, and You could probably come up with a different timing of it where you syncopate it even more once you get it down. But what I like to do with these licks is I learn a lick a lot of times from someone else, and then I use that as a jumping off point to create my own lick, even if my lick isn't as cool as theirs, and it almost never is. The point is to start developing your own creativity, and that's the most important thing, because you're going to memorize something that you created much more than something someone else came up with. So it's really important. It's also important to develop your own style as a banjo player. That's going to help you develop your own personality, and maybe you can eventually show your lick to someone else and kind of keep the chain going. So I think that's kind of how it works. All right, give it a try. Hopefully it helps you out. Good luck, and keep picking. You got this.